right, we're ready. All right. Welcome to the Monday, December 8th, 2025 meeting of the Eastham Strategic Planning Committee. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over the local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. So first thing I guess we would like to do, since we have a guest, thank you for the reminder, is do introductions all around, and we have a somewhat new street planning committee member, so Hope Laban.
I'm Carolyn McPherson, Affordable Housing Trust.
Michelle Vian.
Brian Colantropo.
Patty Anderson.
Paul, Community Development Director.
Roberta Longley from the Energy and Climate Action Committee.
Welcome.
And Steve Rogers.
Do you want, I don't know. There's probably.
Are you on the committee, Steve?
Yeah,
Come to
sit
the
at the
table.
table. I mean, you can both sit at the
You
table.
can both-
Oh, yes. You can both sit at the table. Come on. Hold on. Oh. Oh. Yeah, no. You are definitely a member of the committee, so no getting at now. So first, thank you, everybody. So welcome and purpose. To me anyway, and we can certainly add to it, I would like to take this opportunity to go over both process and content of the plan. So both hear from everybody about what, in terms of content, what you learned, things that we should highlight, things that need to be addressed by this committee, brought to the class, select board, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, Jackie. But also the process, how it went, like how everybody's since it's our first meeting, and to me, this plan and this process are all a work in progress. So it's our collective work. So that's my goal for the meeting. Oh, and importantly, we didn't have an end time for this meeting, you never do, but does anybody have a hard stop that we need to like really pay attention to so that I can be respectful of time?
I booked like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about.
Okay, I just want to make like.
Yeah.
There was.
So I have
anything else.
another meeting at.
Okay, so as long as we're done by 1, we're good.
Yeah.
That good? Ready, everyone? Okay. All right, so the first item on our agenda, our review of potential amendments to the plan suggested by the Climate Action Committee. Roberta's here to represent that. We discussed this once before, but Karen Strauss, who's not able to be here because she's not feeling well today, and I met with Roberta and Tom separately, and they had some very specific requests in terms of some wording changes, et cetera, et cetera. So we thought that the best thing was to invite them back to talk to the committee as a whole, and we could just go through it, discuss it, and see what we think. So with that, I can hand it over to you, if that's okay, and we can go through some of your thoughts.
Sure. As Hope said, I'm Roberta. I'm from the Climate Action Committee. Tom McNellis, our chair, would have liked to have been here today too, but he's traveling. So here I am. And as Hope said, Tom and I have been interacting with Hope and Paul and Karen over the last few months about the strategic plan language. Particularly in relation to the climate action plan that is still in process. It's very close to completion. This is a plan that's town has had help with from the Cape Cod Commission. They're actually the ones writing the plan in close collaboration with the town. And my understanding is that we should have a final draft very soon. But the reasons we have been working with your committee is to see if we can, I guess, first of all, kind of agree on language as to what is in the strategic plan, and then develop a conversation on how we can perhaps start integrating that climate action plan into the final strategic plan, whether it be, over time or initially or whatever. I think we've had quite a bit of discussion regarding language and semantics and so on. And I know it's probably pretty late at this point for any changes because it's been approved by the select board and so on. But today I just want to point out a few things and maybe then have a conversation as to how we can work together in terms of integrating these two plans. I just want to bring in reviewing where it seems in the strategic plan right now, the focus on climate is under goal 1, clean energy and resilient community, and strategic focus area number 3. And currently that is described as climate adaptation. And I believe that climate is actually addressed once, and it is in this particular strategy. I think that the conversation we've had with Hope and Karen has been this focus of calling it climate adaptation. And one thing that our committee has been trying to stress is that generally what we're hoping to do with the plan is to address not only adapting to climate and the possibilities of what it will bring upon us, but also how we're trying to mitigate the pollution and the issues that that's going on right now. And one of the important ways we're doing that is through trying to develop clean energy for both the municipalities and for our residents and businesses. That's a significant part of the climate action plan. And so I don't know how we might fit that in terms of this particular strategy at this point. One language request we had was, instead of calling it climate adaptation, we call it climate action, only because it's more encompassing of both adaptation and mitigation. So I leave that on the table right now for discussion and where that might stand.
You also proposed changing the word resilience to action as well.
Yeah.
So, and the overall goal is kind of around resiliency. So I get the adaptation change to action. I like that a lot. I'm wondering about resilience moving to action as well.
Yes.
So in both instances,
Yes.
you would change it to
Yeah.
climate action.
Change both to action.
Yeah.
And so just sort of point of clarification. Because the strategic plan it's been approved at a point in time by the select board, but we also know it's a working plan. Is that the kind of change in wording that we could just adopt as part of the ongoing part of the plan? Or are those the kinds of changes in the written language as opposed to the updates that would need to go back to some point at some point in time? I'm just trying to sort of talk about the process before we go into too many details.
And I don't know.
So that was, no, actually, that was a question that I was gonna pose back, and it was good because this is kind of a test case of how we understood that there was gonna be changes,
Right.
but I think we have to have a discussion about that.
Right.
Is it everything is kind of unilaterally from the committee, or should it be approved, endorsed, and then go to the select board just as and have that, or is that just a courtesies, or should there be certain, I think certain, certain
Right. Well, it's right.
wording, things like that, maybe that doesn't have to go back, but if it's like adding new things or changing the nature of something that's been approved, maybe that goes back. But this is for discussion for the board, but this is a good
If not,
test
right.
case of how do we want to do these things.
Right.
what do you think, Karen?
I think that the change from climate adaptation to climate action is substantive, meaning it's important, but not consequential enough to require going back to the select board
For approval.
And that would be my sort of personally my test of, is it important enough that we the committee would want to make whatever the change is? And then is it consequential enough that it changes the strategy or the action which would require a select board maybe at the quarterly updates that we do to update them.
So
So
we don't need to,
I mean,
just to parse it.
that's my thought.
no, I agree, but to parse it a little finer, so we could vote to make a wording change if we choose to do that. And then let the select board know as part of the update, but not go to them for approval, like that's.
That's a decision. I don't think we didn't figure that part out.
No,
We-
this is our
stepped it
progress.
So
Yeah.
I think that decision should be made for whatever the process is gonna be, and that we should communicate that back to the select board.
Yes.
And maybe that's the kind of final piece of the endorsement by the select board, is just like, this is how we decided we want to do it. Go to
Yeah.
the select board meeting and if they agree, yeah, if they for some reason have a issue with that, discuss that. Maybe, I don't foresee this, but no, we want to know every time you make a change to it, either because we want to re-endorse it or just as a courtesy. I think we just have to have that last bit of process squared away.
Okay. I think so. And we're planning to do quarterly updates, so that could be at the next quarterly update.
Is that coming up?
That would be coming up.
soon?
I'm not sure when it's scheduled, but yeah, I mean, I just, for my own piece, I envision that, when new content would be added, it would be communicated at least as a courtesy to the select board, even if it just goes into as a memo or something, like when the climate plan's done and the actual action items get loaded in there, whatever they're gonna be, like.
But can we put an agenda item on the select board agenda on the process piece,
Yeah.
separate from?
Oh, yeah, we.
Oh, yeah.
Just to
we can
say
make that
we've
request.
encountered our first sort of process piece that needs your endorsement such that we determine whether,
Yeah, we wanna know from you.
or materiality, like, do we have any leeway on determining how material it is such that we could do it versus they could do it, or do they want to see every single?
My recommendation would be that this group decides how they think is best and go in with that recommendation. And then just, if the board
Yeah.
agrees, then there's no issue. If then we can have the discussion.
Right.
But, so I think it would be just, certain wordsmithing or whatever, maybe that's just fixing up the plan. If it's actually adding the new content, which is gonna happen.
Yes. I think the select board, trying to think and talk at the same time. There's enough of a diversity of inputs from the different members of the committee that I think the select board would have some degree of confidence that if we as a committee said we want to make some wordsmithing changes that don't rise to the level of significant material changes, that they probably would be willing to accept that. We would report them, but not go to them each time for approval. I think that makes logical sense. Because we've got quite a diversity of opinions and ideas and representation for different committees. So that's sort of the first thing, I think. And then we would report as part of the quarterly process. And then new content, like when the climate action plan is adopted, that then gets folded into the strategic plan, the same thing. We would prepare the new content, report that to them at the next quarterly meeting for their approval, because it's new content. So it's new commitments of time, resources, policy. Does that make sense?
Does, any other thoughts, Joe?
You're
Not
fine.
too much, I just want to make sure everybody. Jan, any other thoughts?
Can you just send the select board a notification to say that, the following is changed as a courtesy, but also say, if you have any issues, you put a date and say, get back to us by this certain date, or else, based on the process that we've laid out, it's gonna go into final effect or final change.
So, all of this, I'm just trying to think of reducing pieces of paper, will go into our minutes, they should go into our official minutes, so we could communicate the minutes to the board with a note that says, please note this important piece or something.
Well, I think they would be, we committed to quarterly
We did.
updates.
We did.
So I think the next communication is the quarterly update. And then that's when we say, this is what we proposed as the process. And then anything else that we need to bring them as part of that update. I think if I were the select board, which I'm not, thank goodness, if I were the select board, I wouldn't want piecemeal, this week, this one, and this month, this one, and this. I want to get it all as a package, once a quarter, I deal with it, that's it. Unless it's something, highly significant or it would show up on the front page of the Independent.
But can't we even just take all recommended input and then collect it for presentation at our quarterly
It would be a
update?
quarterly
And
presentation.
then have them adjudicate, yes, no, yes,
Yes, right.
no, we're fine.
Yeah.
So we just say, thanks for your input. We'll take that forward, we can discuss it amongst ourselves. And to your point, Paul, make a recommendation. We think this is a good one. We're all generally in favor of taking adaptation and switching it to action. We're gonna make that recommendation to the select board and then we go in a quarterly meeting. That's what our agenda is.
But
I think that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, and then they get visibility on a regular periodic basis collectively of additions, deletions and changes.
I think that, so,
Oh, just to add to Michelle to that point, but also just say that if we agree as a group that going forward. Minor wording changes, will be reported to them at the quarterly updates. Major new content initiatives, budget concerns, et cetera, will be things that we will report to them and request their approval or adoption or whatever the right word is. So also to both pieces that we're making this recommendation to change this word, but also on the go forward, this isn't a process
Yeah.
model that we would
Right.
like to.
I just wonder, are we gonna say whether it's material or not? So for example, this word, action goes in, it's a strategic focus area. So it's a big word, it's not just like buried in the
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I think them having visibility to
Oh,
each quarter.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Didn't mean to head off your discussion, but it helps us, I think, put it in context as we discuss what you're presented to us. So,
And I'm sorry, Paul, what were you gonna say?
no, I was gonna say, I think that lines up with kind of logically how we want this plan to be more of a management tool because it's getting recommendations are happening, this group's vetting it. They're gonna make a recommendation that goes with the plan. You want the select board to I think you do kind of want to re-endorse it each time because they're
Right.
basically because this is the work that the town's gonna be doing. And I think part of that's gonna be just using your plan as example, like when the time comes, we're gonna sit down again and say, here's the things we think should be the high priority things. We want the staff that's gonna be doing that work with the committee here to hash through all the stuff, make sure it makes sense, how we're gonna put it in there so that when this is going up, we already kind of know, the staff is. The recommendations have been made from the committee, it's based on the plan, the staff is aware of it, because someone's gonna be assigned to do it. We wanna make sure if we're putting it in for 2026 and. We wanna put these things in logical order, so then by the time it gets to the staff, the town managers looked at it, by the time we're at the select board meeting. We can have a discussion about yes, this actually works. Cause you don't wanna put something in the plan that's well, the staff.
Yeah, no.
We didn't know about this, or this wasn't, we thought we were gonna do this.
So,
Right.
sorry.
Right, well, And likewise, we shouldn't just be some benign group, there was a recommendation by the Climate Action Committee, it was do you have an opinion?
Mhm.
Yes, we should sort of, I think, discuss,
have an opinion.
yeah, right? We might not agree, but.
Right.
Well, that's
I think-
fine too.
I think we
'cause part
should
of that
add,
Discussion is gonna be.
have the discussion here.
Yeah, and I anticipate at some point there'll be a discussion about this item, whatever it is important, but what kind of priority is it? Is it something that actually
Yeah.
should be put into the next available year? Or is it something that in the plan, but it's in our year and there may be disagreement about? And that's the role that this group can play. The staff said this is staff says realistically, we're not gonna get to this in 3 years, it's
Yeah.
gonna be the 50-year out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a discussion point to go to select board. This is very important and it should be
Right.
done before that. That's part of that.
Well, there's that and things like, that's like, I'm thinking climate action, like, I'm not sure what the final plan will look like, but there may be some regulatory changes required, and that takes some time. So we all need to think that through collectively, I think, so, and that would be helpful.
Everybody's gonna end up using this plan to advocate for
Right.
their needs. And that's why it's gonna be important for this
Yeah.
group to be in sync with each committee and the staff and folks so that we kind of have this discussion and then when it goes up to the next level for a decision.
We
So
have to have all
I
the-
have a question on that process, and I know you're still kind of working that process
Yes.
at this point, but you mentioned a quarterly input to the select board for some changes, some small, some large.
Yep.
You consider that to be part of your new process. How would that actually look in terms of adjusting the strategic plan, so whatever is made public online? If a citizen wanted to say, I'd like to see what the strategic plan looks like, would those changes would it be updates to that? It would say, okay,
Another really good question. Which, no, that's an excellent point, which I have wondered, because when we get to it, I made some changes to the plan based upon my discussions with the staff. And so I do want to make sure that whatever we learn, whatever we change it's all one and the same. So if a member of the public wants to see the plan, they're seeing the most up-to-date plan and benefit from the input of this group. So we have to discuss that too, but I think that's a really important point.
But in general, we've talked about that before, and in general, our idea is, yes, to try to accomplish that. The logistics of exactly how to do that, we have to figure out. But yes, when will the climate action plan be actually adopted by the select board?
I think over the next few weeks, the commission is intending to get it to staff if they haven't already. I'm unsure about that. So in the month of December, and staff will be reviewing. And then there'll be some time for the climate committee to also review. And then there will be, my understanding is there will be a decision as to when to schedule a time to present this to the select board. Probably January.
Will there be a public comment period? before
Yes,
it's adopted?
excuse me. Yes, there is. Of course, there is. Yes. I skipped that part, but yeah.
Okay,
There's already been some public.
yes. there
With the
is.
initial draft. Mhm.
Oh, you mean for the final plan?
For the
Yeah, I
final,
never read that. Okay.
Yeah.
before it's finally adopted.
Yes.
Okay. Because that also, timing wise, affects our time. Because the changes that we'd want to make, maybe not necessarily action versus adaptation, but in adding new content, I think would come after it's adopted,
Mhm.
not before.
Yes.
So we would, the timing in terms of when it goes to the select board from a strategic plan perspective will be after it's adopted by the select board as a plan. There,
Right.
seven
So
steps.
that's a good thing, because then you know everything,
Yes,
Yeah.
the content's good, it's just where does it fit in the other
right.
plan?
And what level of detail
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
So, Paul and Hope, just logistics, are we on the agenda quarterly already, or do we have to get ourselves on the agenda? Because
No, we
should
need
get
to
those
get ourselves on the
placeholders done.
Yeah.
And we set up a schedule for that. We
Yes.
set up a schedule for our meetings and
But my question is, did that
Did they get-
second part
yeah,
get
no.
executed?
No, we need to do that, but.
Roberta, can I just ask a point of clarification? Just, so we're talking strategic focus area 3 becomes climate action. That's the,
Well, yes, it's change, we're suggesting changing from climate adaptation to climate action.
it's in that one section.
Yes, but also, in
Referred to.
The,
Reference to it,
there's another reference
in
in,
climate adaptation.
it's in more the narrative here in,
Page 2. Is that the one you're referring to?
it's the bullet points, the committee's approach to updating the plan include the following.
Okay,
And so community, including climate adaptation, changing that to climate action and municipal services. Those are the kind of the new two things. Yeah.
yeah, listen, I think it makes. I think climate action is a broader umbrella that could allow us to undertake mitigation and resilient activities if we want to, so. People.
So stopping there, should we make a motion to change the wording? Something. Wait, I have to make sure I'm referring to the right place. So it's goal.
It'll be easier to see on a PDF.
So it's on,
Thank you.
it's on page 2. The bottom half of page, I think I have PDF up. Let me look those. Yeah, the bottom half of page 2, there's in bold font, the committee's approach. It's updating the plan includes the following, it's the second bullet point there. And then the next reference is on page 12, strategic focus area 3, climate adaptation.
So I'll second Michelle's motion. To make those changes.
Okay, and we'll get the wording down.
Yeah.
I was just want to make sure that we have that for the minutes. Okay, all in favor of making the change the wording to climate action on page 2 and page 12, and we'll get the right things. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Sure.
Aye.
Okay, all right, so it's unanimous, so that's.
There are 6 of us, right?
So, okay, so we have that. Excellent, which we'll communicate to the select board at their next, whenever we can get on the agenda soon, as
Wonderful.
their quarterly
Yeah.
update.
Thank
Oh.
you very much.
You're welcome. Now, are there other things that you wanted to discuss today?
Not especially,
Okay.
I really do appreciate on behalf of the committee, you're taking another look at this and it's words are, as we know, words are important. The only other thing I just wanted to share is our excitement about working with your committee in terms of moving this climate action plan into the overall picture of the town with a strategic plan. And so however we strategically do that, or logistically do that, it's something that we're looking forward to, maybe having a liaison or whatever it is you.
And that we can figure, I was gonna say, at our next quarterly meeting of this group, I think that will be time enough that your plan might have been
Oh, yes.
adopted, and
Yeah.
then maybe that's a good time to come back and figure out, once you have a final plan, how we prioritize,
Okay.
integrate, align, whatever the right words are.
Your quarterly meeting is, so March, is it, because we're in December, is that how it's?
This is the first of the quarter.
It's the first of the quarterly, so we're all figuring this out. I don't
Okay,
think we have it
okay,
yet.
well, we'll just be in
We need
touch
to
on
do
that.
I don't think
Yeah.
we set the date.
We didn't.
But it's supposed to be in
We-
March.
Yeah, we need to set the date. We'll do that hopefully before we leave here today. We can look at the calendars.
So but it's really gonna be more on the climate action committee, whenever that plan is done, you get
Okay.
your collective minds around it and you're
Uh-huh.
ready to actually come back to this group to say, here's what we think. So it's kind of like,
Okay,
you'll know,
we'll try to initiate that, yeah.
yeah, and then it'll be which,
Dates, you know, because it's hard to get this.
no, we can, but I'm just saying, we don't know
If they'll
if
be
they're
done
ready in March
Got
or
it.
they're ready at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
next
yeah.
one or,
or next June. Or
yeah, we
whatever.
gotta get our dates on the
And
book,
we may have an extra one to prepare for
right?
our meeting, so, you know,
Okay.
we can work with you
Yeah.
on that, but just tentatively, maybe if it's all done in in another 3 months,
Uh-huh.
hopefully, you might be ready. If
All right.
not, time.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay,
Okay, this is great. Thanks for.
awesome,
Thank
thank
you
you
all.
for coming. All right. So the next item is reviewing each area of the strategic plan. Looking at all of these bullet points, timeframes, whether they're good, bad, need to be changed. things that need additional work, running things that are on track. Um, and I'm not sure. I think it might be good if we just go around individually and just highlight what we've learned in the past quarter in terms of things that the committee might want to think about in the plan in terms of any changes that need to be made based upon what we learned from working with staff. Does that seem a reasonable way to proceed?
Do you want to go through all the items or?
Well, just the highlights. I mean, I don't know if we actually have time to go through every
No.
item, but if you went, from your work over the past 3 months, if there are things that are worthy of bringing to the attention of the committee, that would be my gut. I don't know, Paul.
Yeah, just kind of, we're figuring it out.
We're figuring it out.
I think does everyone everyone has their assignments and they've been able to.
Well, we need to
I
talk
know,
about assignments.
Yeah, right, we gotta,
Yeah, I have not,
right,
so.
Yeah, and Brian has
Arrival.
seemingly a million. I don't know how that happened. Seemingly you have a lot, relative to other people. Maybe it didn't seem like a lot to you. But we do need to talk about assignments and if there are things that some of us have that shouldn't have or would like to have and don't have, and things that we can better equally share amongst us.
It's on the agenda. So
It's on the agenda. Yeah, we'll get to that. But I mean, I can
do some.
you want to start? Go for it, Karen. Thank you.
I just met with Paul and Rachel, so,
Okay.
and the notes should all be in the document, so. Jackie, you can double check me if there's not.
There's something you want me to bring up in particular?
No. Okay, so our ADU bylaw amendment, the Attorney General finally has come back with, basically approval of it with some slight changes and some dimensional issues. That's really good news because it really emphasizes full-time occupancy. The zoning task force will take up some minor technical changes that mostly have to do with dimensions. So that was really good news. There are several things that were on the action items that the zoning task force, as it is doing its work now for the 2026 town meeting, are delaying to 2027 because we just simply don't have the capacity to do them all. One of the items that's on the agenda, there are 2 items: a comprehensive housing needs assessment and updating of the housing production plan. And we've made a decision to combine those 2 actions together in the same process, so that instead of just coming up with a revised housing production plan, which is very proscribed by the state in terms of what it is and what its content is, and it's only focused on capital A affordable housing, lower income housing. We decided to combine that process into one overall needs assessment and development of a plan, a strategy, so that we would have an Eastham housing plan, like we have an Eastham open space plan, right? Eastham a conservation plan and a climate action plan that will address all the housing needs across the town. Paul and Rachel are working on an RFP with a consultant who will help us to lead that process. We expect it will take a little while into next year for sure. So that we can have plenty of opportunities for public comment and input into that. But that'll let them, because we really at this point don't have an actual housing strategy or housing plan document that we can put with multiple pieces to it. So we're bringing that all together. So that's really kind of exciting. The Lease to Locals program was launched. I just remind you what that is it's a program where landlords can guarantee that they will rent to local people and that they will be permanent, not permanent, full-time housing as opposed to rental seasonal housing. And in response to them being willing to commit to that, we give them a small grant to offset the difference between seasonal and full-time housing. And we have 5 participants already. Grants have already been issued. There's been a
How
lot
big
of,
is the green?
it varies.
It varies, depends on what the unit size
Unit
is,
size,
but there,
but
it can be up to 15,000.
yeah. Yeah. So that's exciting that we've already had participation in that program. The rental assistance program has seen some increase in participation, and Kayla's working on a much more robust PR and outreach program to let more people in the community know about both the rental assistance program, which provides assistance for people who are rental properties and can't afford the rent, and the housing emergency housing help program, which is providing preservation of existing affordable housing for things like windows, roof, septic, when people are having trouble to keep the property up, and we don't want them to lose that property. So those are gonna be really good. The Salt Pond condominiums, which is across from the visitor center, we have taken 2 of those duplexes, pieces of the duplexes. We're in the legal process for tax taking, take the other 2. So we would own all 4 of the duplex components and the land, which would give us a chance to really look at what we could do with that piece of property, because there's much more opportunity there than just the 4 duplexes that are already there. We're drafting an ADU assistance program, kind of waiting for seasonal communities finalization of the regulations. The drafts are out, but once the final pieces are out and we know whether we can combine the affordable capital A housing and workforce housing into one program, we could provide some support, financial support, to encourage more ADU development. We've already had pretty good response to the zoning changes, but we think that if we provide some financial assistance, that would increase that significantly. So I think those are the main, on the things that I have my name on them, the main updates.
So do any of those things that you mentioned, and I was trying to go through quickly, require change to any of our action?
The only thing I would recommend is for the, I updated things like in process and out of process. The one thing that I would update or recommend updating is that the comprehensive housing needs assessment and the housing production plan were listed as low priorities. And I would recommend that they be considered high priorities. They're in process, they're being done.
And are those 2 actions, should they go together now?
Well, I would leave them the way they are at the
Okay.
moment,
Okay.
but I would recommend changing them to high only because the strategies, if you're just doing a strategic thinking, you need to get that done before you go on with taking other actions.
That is adjusting priorities when you've had your meetings with your staff is absolutely within your purview to go ahead and do that as you're adjusting
Right,
status and other things.
but I didn't think to ask Paul until just now. If
I
that,
mean, we're doing it.
you're doing it,
Yeah.
and I do think, I know you think it's a high priority.
Do you have the action ID number? That is the easiest way to find things, is the,
Oh. It's, no,
since we can meet.
no.
Okay,
Good answer, Carolyn.
I'm sorry, it was listed,
I'll find
you had them there. I already did it in the,
did you change the priority?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I already changed it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to,
Just letting everybody know.
I wanted to
Yeah.
ask permission that, because I didn't even ask Paul. So that was the only one that I saw that needed to be changed.
Yeah, it's a good, another process point, so
Yeah.
as you're talking with staff.
Yeah.
Right, if you've already gotten
If
their thought on it,
Yeah,
then this group can
right,
make it official. Yeah,
okay,
we already knew that.
we already.
We were on the same page anyway, so it was
Yes.
fine, but just,
But we should.
yeah, 'cause
Right.
that way staff,
Ask it
so,
to
yeah.
compare if we've changed a priority.
Hmm?
If we've moved a priority up or down.
We should just
Should
talk
I come
about
to
it.
this group?
Yeah, we
I
should.
guess so,
I
think I did the
So I
same
didn't
thing.
change some.
I did change some.
Oh,
Well, Hillary told us.
Hillary told us to, but I did not wait
Thanks,
to bring it to this, to
way to
this
take the bull by the
group. We just did it.
But that's good. I mean, that's something like,
And that would,
that's the report back. We got,
we got feedback from
Well,
the
this is our
staff, yeah,
first round.
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna take a
we're
while to
learning,
get it.
yeah, we're learning.
and that would get highlighted, I think, for the select board too. When we do the quarterly report for select
Yeah.
board, that these items change from low
Yeah.
priority to high priority for this reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be.
I mean,
So, yeah, that'll track.
You should be seeing it. So when you're ready to work on that report, you go into recent activity. You should be able to see. And we can change, when those things happen, but.
right, I did do
Lots
that.
of recent activity.
Yes,
Yeah. Which is great.
okay. Oh, so that's good. If we look at my section under the recent activity, you can see the ones I changed.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then,
thank you. Should we go down?
can I have the cookie?
You may have.
That was.
Yes, you don't get a
cookie
cookie
for
for
doing a
talking,
good job.
talking, eat at the same time.
Go.
Okay, should we go? Michelle, are you gonna eat? Okay.
No, I have to perform before it gets
Right.
on. Okay.
Perform away.
Well, I don't know, do you want me to go through? So first of
Just
all,
highlights.
I want to compliment Jackie because I think first of all, she's been a great support to me. Thank you very much. And second of all, I think this is an excellent tool and I think
Good.
it really helps guide the conversation and I learned so much in the conversations that I had, even with you guys that I see regularly. So I thought it was great. What was hard for me is when things changed around and then I got confused.
Agree, we should
Was
talk
no
about
way.
that, yes, that was
So
hard for
that,
all of us.
because I kind of operate in a static environment and
I think we all did, you were like, this is it.
Because you were
this is what
helping
we're-
me and I was like, and then so I'm in my static environment and then things changed. And
Well, no,
Brian
we
had
should
stuff
talk
that
about
I
that.
had and poor
You're
Laura
right.
Barr was caught in the middle of the whole thing, so. Anyway, in general, thank you. I just think it's fantastic. So, I ended up learning a tremendous amount as well, personally. So, and then I got, thanks to Hope, switched over into kind of the HR realm. So I met with Rich and just learned a tremendous amount of, kind of how the staffing goes in a municipality and how pay works. And, I work in public companies and private companies and doing it in a municipality is really different. So, and we're in a stage right now where all these union negotiations are going on right now and there's sort of 3-year contracts happening right now. So I learned, how we said we put all this together and how does the staffing plan sort of align with it?
Right.
So I kind of learned a whole bunch about how that works. And it's not, I thought, maybe we're not doing as much, and we're doing, the town is doing it, I think, an excellent job. So those are my overall comments.
Is there anything in your sections that needed to be updated?
Yeah, so I have one that's complete, Paul. And there's stuff going on, like really happening, and it's really good. The only other identifier that I thought would be helpful is when we identify that something is 2027 or 20, we can really narrow it down to be in a year. Could we have a column so we can sort by, because some of this stuff that I discovered, well, that's not going to go to town meeting until 2027. Right? So I'm just wondering if we could have another, because this is a 5-year plan.
So different from the target completion date?
Well,
Here's a date.
but that's like a whole date. Like, can I sort by that, by year?
No.
I can sort by year.
You can, if there are dates in it,
Okay, well, there should be a
Yes.
format that requires a year.
Mhm.
So that rather than whether it's in November, December, or January,
Mhm.
I could, so that when I go for my updates. If something's already been put out to 2027 or 2028, like Paul. There were a couple in here, like the implement form-based zoning codes as appropriate for zoning district E. The target date of completion for that was town meeting 2027. So I might not want to take a lot of time in the
Right.
next update going through that. So that might be helpful with my great technology skills to be able to sort
You
out.
can
Yes.
sort
So
by
there,
I
there
can.
are, if
If there's a
in-
date in there, but
right.
not every
If
one of my
that date hasn't been
boxes.
identified yet.
But I could put that in, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so I can do that. All right, great.
So is the time frame 2025 the notional like start date of the effort?
So this, in terms of entering information, right now, time frame is essentially a text box. So whatever you type in there, that could say fall 2025, that could say March 2025. Versus when you're entering in a completion date, it's only gonna allow you to put in a specific date, but we can modify or give a format if it helps to have time frame for sorting purposes as the year.
Yeah.
You know, I can go in and alter, you know, essentially the way that the data is collected on
Right.
that point, if you want something more uniform. Knowing that from a staff perspective, you're probably getting answers like spring 2027. That's sort of.
Well, can we have
broader-
two columns? One's the year and one's, I don't know how the sorting works, but for example. The Rock Harbor work, Paul, right? Develop opportunities to increase usage of Rock Harbor. That's not imminent. You know,
Right.
so, but I can put it, if we could just have a uniform way of putting a date so that I in my own head can get
Mhm.
sorted out.
I'm sorry to step into
No.
your conversation, but
Please do.
is it? You think about it, what you could be worried about is if something in 2027 has a required start date or some notional timeline that's
Yeah.
a year or 2 years, to your point. You know, there should be a start and maybe a start and a finish. There seems like there's a finish,
Oh, I see.
but if there's no start,
Right.
it's like, because then you could sit
Then I'm
there
not
and,
getting an update.
yeah, you could sit there and say,
Like a range.
instead of qualitative, you can say quantitative and say there are, I'm gonna make it up, there's 10 line items. You know, 6 of them are on time, 2 of them, you know, are not scheduled to start and 1 is behind. And I don't know, I just, because to me, it would draw kind of a discussion and or resources to where they need to be.
Mhm.
So just,
I like that.
Yeah,
And from a logistics perspective, you know, if we're talking about a project and I'm saying that one's a little far off, I don't think we're gonna touch that until 2028. We
right,
could just let's just put a start date of January 1st, 2028.
right.
And that's
Right.
where it lives for now. And if we.
So you would
I
add
like to start
date,
in it,
add a
'cause
date,
One
start date.
project could be a year of a like the Rock Harbor thing.
Yeah,
Could be, like, Paul, you said something about that we lost a bit of an opportunity drafting off of what Orleans was doing in Rock Harbor. Well, had we had, I love your comment, a start date
right,
sooner than when we thought we needed it done, we might have been, you know, able
That
to
makes
sort of.
sense, yeah.
okay, so we should have a start date
This-
and an end date. It also occurs to me that if you had both, you could like make a Gantt chart.
right.
Right off of
Right.
it and just look at it, yeah, which would be cool.
I know.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Good, and the only other one I have,
And
oh, go ahead.
so if the end date, because I thought about this when I was doing mine, if the end date is town meeting like 2027,
Mhm.
okay, if we all use the same sort of nomenclature,
Mhm.
then it makes it easy. So with that, we wouldn't put in the actual date of the town meeting because we don't know that. But it's going to be in May, so if we put the end of May or the end of June, anything that goes to the town meeting is gonna be done by that fiscal year. So like June 30th. I don't know how you wanna do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We might have different ways of describing it. If we wanna be consistent, so we can sort on it, look for it.
yeah, the
If
sorting.
you wanna be consistent for sorting purposes, I think that having a date is your best way of doing that, because when, in terms of the
Right,
background of how data is collected. Your only choice here is to select a calendar date,
right.
right? Anything that's gonna be entered as sort of a free form text box, we can put a note. That
Yeah.
says
Yeah, I like
enter
the note.
as,
I like the date,
yeah, but
To the day.
but so for town meeting, because that's kind of a
what is it,
a
the
specific thing.
first Saturday and,
Well, now we're back
oh, we're back to Mondays.
Yeah,
I mean, you could just put
the end of the month.
the end of the
that
month, just
Right,
because.
yeah,
May-
it's not, it probably won't make a huge deal.
Right,
And knowing that
Different.
most of these, until
Right.
something is
A couple
near
of
term,
weeks
most
off,
of
yeah.
these start and end dates are approximate.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
it's just giving you a ballpark.
The
Awesome.
only other one, and I didn't realize I could change the priorities, but I wanted to recheck with Paul and Jackie, was the Holmes Road, so it's goal 2. I don't have the item number.
That's okay.
Analyze potential redevelopment and build out of Holmes Road. The fact that we already have a grant for that, we received $150,000 grant from the state and will be assigned a consultant, which we may already have been. I thought that should be a higher priority than low.
yeah,
So, I didn't know I could change it, but now that we're talking about it with the group, does everybody agree? That should be everything else.
Yes.
I think it's a great thing, but I
Yeah,
also
no, I
think
think-
the whole stakeholder management piece of that, with that whole group of, people that have been, sort of operating out of that area for so long, and now that's gonna be a mixed use, right,
Yes.
area, so that.
Well, plus when, and we'll get to this, when we'll figure out how this becomes public, we want also the whoever else is reading this to understand that we understand that this is a high priority.
Right,
So.
right, so I
think
wanted
that's
to
important.
check that with the group.
Yep.
And then, my other one was, and that one I didn't update only because Lori, I actually updated it. So are we clear now what my name is on, that Lori's name is on?
I'm clear.
Okay, good. I'm not. But that one was about cross-training, in the department. So there were a number of town, excellence and town staff ones that were assigned over to me. And I did talk to Rich, and Lori also presented a write-up of all the cross-training that's going on in the town to sort of build capability below the leadership level. And it's cool. I mean, there's really good active stuff that's going on. So, Rich told me that he doesn't hire anybody, any number 2 person who doesn't have a capability of being a number 1 person. So it's really, it was really good. Other than that, I don't have any other, recommended changes, but if anybody wants me to go into any of the rest of them, I can.
Good. That's good. Keep going in the interest.
Yep.
You don't have any yet. We're gonna get there.
You will.
We're gonna get there, so. So,
the cookies are good.
fine.
Yeah, okay. I don't actually have any material updates. I started my outreach this morning.
All right.
I will apologize for that. But the good news is anything that's changed, we have not confused any of the staff, but it was reaching out. Can we discuss for a couple of minutes if you think I have too much? Because
Well, it's just,
I guess I looked at this and it was only
I was just looking at numbers of actions.
Kayla, John, and Melanie, so
Yeah.
it didn't feel
Well, it doesn't feel like
excessive,
too much, so,
but
we just wanna make sure that since we have an amazing number of people at this table, like, we should distribute it as fairly as possible.
yeah, I'm happy, I mean,
And,
Happy
and
to-
Steve, you don't have any yet, yeah, no, and I don't know if there are particular issue areas that you are more or less familiar with, interested in.
I'm wide open. Can you put my name up there? Is my name at all in there or no?
Not yet, because I don't have anything to assign to you.
Okay. And that's,
So
We're
wait,
gonna
that makes
fix
it
that,
easy.
hopefully we're
Waiting
gonna
to see
fix
what you
that,
want to do with
yeah,
that.
I
yeah.
think so.
I'm good.
You're on, Steve's on planning board
An alternate for the plan.
and
Yeah,
just this committee and planning. Okay.
correct.
Cause we tried to like
Yeah, we did.
align somewhat.
So, yeah, excuse me, what do you think, Paul? This. I don't know.
I think just beyond just making sure that everybody has. It's, you know, everyone needs something and that it's just split up as fair
Yeah,
as
that's
possible.
what I.
It does seem like Brian has a lot.
Yeah, Brian, it does.
It's
seem-
not just about the person, like Paul is probably talking to almost each one of us.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to do one was that, it just didn't work out in terms of an even distribution, but. We can try and do this offline too, if you want, but it does seem,
Sit down after this and just-
Yeah, one of the two of them.
I'm completely open.
okay, if you don't, if you
Yeah,
guys, if
that's
you
fine.
don't mind, then, and just like,
Yeah.
importantly, Jack, you
Sure.
know?
Jackie, if I just change the liaison. That's all operational, is that all we need?
I will need to I need to add Stephen here and then we can.
Okay,
we can do that.
okay, all right, cool.
And I have an opinion, and since you're on planning board, and so am I. Oh, why? I have an opinion.
Good to know.
Sorry.
Yes. Yes, if you could take some of John's stuff, you know, on the wastewater side. You know, that would be good, if you had that, more of that than like the technology or the communication side. You know, just in terms of. You know,
Makes
sort
sense
of
with planning.
alignment with what we do on planning,
Yeah. Makes sense.
but that's my opinion.
Cool,
No, I
and then
agree. That makes sense.
wastewater, you'll get to work with us because.
Yeah,
That
it's very,
crosses
you know,
over,
more
and
intimate.
poor Karen's not here, but, yeah, anyway, so, okay, awesome.
You get a cookie.
Yeah. Bye.
Participate.
All right. This will be fairly short and sweet. Most of mine were related to wastewater and the funding for that, obviously. And we did, the biggest thing is, that SRF deadline, we did get that application out. And that kind of, I don't want to say closed off a lot of the things, but a lot of the things in here were related to that, things that have to be included in the application. So they're really happy to get that. And they're moving along with the design. It's an ongoing thing. It's probably gonna be completed the beginning of the year. I believe, they're at 90% draft design and it's being reviewed. So my guess is, I thought someone said it will be final in January, but that's a constant moving target, so I don't wanna put a date, but that's what it seems like. And mine, I thought were sort of more concrete. Because they're finance committee things, or the things that are really already happening now. So I did get a really good response. But one of the things that maybe other people will hear from, that I heard from on a lot of mine, because some of mine were related to communication. I had the police chief and the fire chief just sort of reaching out to the community. And the Turn It Up podcast that Kayla is organizing, which I think is fantastic, came up from both of them. And a lot of the answers that I got, like from Jackie Beebe on some of the things that she's working on, that was sort of her response too, that a lot of the stuff's going to be incorporated into the Turn It Up podcast. So I feel like that's actually really helpful for a lot of the things we're doing, because a lot of it is related to communication. And that's really all I have. I don't have any changes to make, because as I said, most of them are sort of an ongoing, other than the wastewater, which, hopefully will be done soon. A lot of them, they'll never really be a closeout day. It's sort of an ongoing route. So I'm pretty comfortable with where everything is at right now.
Good, thanks. Good. All right. We can go to mine, and two things also just to share with the group in terms of process is, I think I found anyway, for some instances where there's just a few action items, it was easier to just write an email to the appropriate staff person and say, here's what it is this right you want any corrections. When there were many, we sat down with Hillary, so Patty and I sat down with Hillary together because there were many and it was just easier to sit down and go over it. So just two different communication ways we did it. We went through and Hillary did change a lot of the priorities. which. Let's see, I don't know if you can see what I did, what I changed was I just went in and changed it after we met with Hillary. The only things, that I think are, just to let people know, is that Hillary really wanted to add the pond management plan in there, which wasn't in there previously, so I think that's just to note that. And then another thing which I do think crosses, many of us, are that there are draft regulations in progress, on Title V, so we kind of started with cesspools, but it's really, Hillary really wanted to go through the entire set of regulations and just make the changes. Once the Board of Health is gonna review the draft in January, there will be an opportunity for public comment, but it's going to impact a lot of different pieces of what's happening in terms of wastewater and future sewer and septic, et cetera, et cetera. So just to put that on there, in terms of what we need to update the select board on, I would suggest that make sure that they are all well aware of those regs, because I think they're important and there could be a lot of public pushback. We'll see what happens, but I could foresee that. So, and then there was some other detail that Hillary provided us in terms of some things that are happening in the behavioral health world. There's the Credible Minds website thing that's up there. So that's another question, is she provided us links to different resources that are new and out there and available, which I think I put in the notes. So I don't know how that, if that, or how that gets translated, and we have to talk about this to the public facing document. But we want it to be complete, so we added that in there. Yep, there's all those links that she shared with us. I didn't want to miss that information. So, and in the future, I'll keep better track of what I changed from high to low. But we just went through and I changed things according to Hillary's input. So Pat, did I miss anything? I always need another mind.
No, the other thing I wanted to add, because I know we talked about it too, is depending on the action item, I think some probably required a meeting and some didn't. One thing I did is, I know when Jackie Beebe was here, she said people are really busy right now. So I tried to think, how can I make it easier for them? So what I did is, for example, I had a bunch Jackie Beebe action, like I'm gonna say 8 action items. I was able to copy and paste. So I was able to copy right from this. So I did an email and I numbered them like high priority, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rather than the G3, SF3, because I'm like, I don't want them to have to worry about typing the right thing in. So what I did is I just labeled them 1, 2, 3, 4. I did put the action ID, which Hope suggested, in parentheses after it. Then I copied the action item and then I put a note sort of saying, like, just for the SRF, one of mine was, the SRF application. I said a note, I believe it went out on October 2nd or 3rd, because they updated us at the finance meeting. Can you confirm and maybe provide this? So I put all the text in the email itself rather than attaching the Excel file. And then what Jackie or what everybody else said, they copied and pasted my email into their response. And then in a different color, they put in their response. So they didn't have to open an attachment. I said, well, they don't have to type in the action ID. It's sitting right in front of them. And I did get really, really quick responses. I got everything within, I want to say, a day or two, because I felt like if they just open it up and it's in front of them, they don't have to go to the printer. They don't have to do this. They don't have to do that. Maybe I'll get a fast response, and it worked. So, but it would only work for certain items that maybe don't require a meeting. I didn't need any meetings. Everybody just responded that way. And it was easier for them and easier for me. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, I was on one of yours.
Oh, you were, yeah, I
And
think
I shared
CC'd you.
it, so I thought that was great. I found this first meeting, some of the stuff I learned a tremendous amount of background that I didn't want somebody to type up.
Right.
Like I sat with Rich probably for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, like I said,
showed
it
me
wouldn't work for
all
everything.
his salary ranges and, kind of how that all works, which, now next time I won't have to do that.
Right.
Right. So,
How do you want to handle like the pond plan, like Hillary wanted, that's a new item she wanted to add in?
She wanted it to reference it in there, yes.
But I mean, it's a separate plan that has action items in it?
I don't even know. I should follow up on that.
So I think if
But-
we're adding like a whole new actions from a whole plan, like the climate action plan,
That has to go.
that has to be part of the report to the select board and the.
Yep. Yeah.
And again, I mean, I know she's working on it, and it's one of those things they're working on anyways.
Right.
So it's just an in progress. Or
Yeah,
not
I
started,
just didn't know
in
if it was,
process, or, yeah. I will follow up.
But yeah, it would be something we should go through the process of the update.
Right, that we talked about, yeah.
Anything else I missed there? So, okay, so if not, so let's keep going. So the next item on the agenda is a review of individual assignments, so you're gonna talk, we'll figure that out, and then work with Jackie to change the dashboard. Is there anything else and any other, there was some initial confusion when there were some changes made. And we didn't all realize it, and then some of us were paying attention, some of us weren't, because we're all busy. So I guess in the future, if there's other changes that are gonna be made, just somehow maybe notify everybody, I don't know.
Can I
'Cause-
just do assignments?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Just because, cause depending upon, some of us, we all started at different times over the last quarter, on this, so. Some of us were, like Michelle said, we're just static, like, this is it. And, it's true, cause I did the same thing, I downloaded stuff, I put it
Yeah.
into an Excel for my own working, cause that's how I work. So I didn't go back to look to see if there are any changes, so just for the future.
I think the other thing would be coming from the people that are being, that we're meeting with, like the staff, like if you guys are meeting with three of us.
Oh, yeah.
And feel like, wait a minute,
This
it
is
might be
working.
better
Yeah.
if Hope took this one, because why are you talking to me about it, or Carolyn? That is fine too.
And I would also ask, related to that, or suggest that, you have, I forget what the right title of it is, but staff meetings with staff periodically. And so this is our first round through it, so it'd be interesting to hear feedback from the staff perspective. This is your first time round through with the strategic plan committee, and any suggestions, observations.
Staff feedback on the process.
Yeah.
Yep,
Because we want to know,
absolutely.
the idea is to make it easier for them.
What I thought was great is everybody was aware of what they were assigned.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Mhm.
So I think that the point that this is actually a living thing as opposed to a static thing,
Yep,
You-
everybody
you
got
guys
the
did a
message.
great
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
really. Like, I didn't think that I was assigned to that. I'm like, at least you knew you were assigned to something.
Right.
Well, and there were, at the same time, that shifting happened with staff too, because in the initial draft of the plan from which this was all based, there were multiple staff leads assigned to things.
Right,
Which meant that there were multiple liaisons assigned to things, and then, right, we just took a look and said, there are far too many cooks in this kitchen.
right.
That's
Yeah.
gonna get really confusing. And so we need to, but there may be, I think, as you go through some of these meetings, I won't be surprised if in a meeting with Jackie Beebe, she says, actually, this is a Kayla item. And moving
Yes.
forward, let's have you connect with Kayla on that. And so
Right.
then we just need it reflected in the plan and.
Yep.
And I think that's where the decision comes in. If it gets reassigned,
Just let
And
everybody know.
then does it also get reassigned at the liaison level to
Yeah.
take over?
Yeah.
Which
That's a good point.
I think that I would advocate for, otherwise as things shift.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to where you didn't wanna get, which is a staff member has 6 liaisons
Right.
assigned to them for different things and is having 6 meetings
Right,
every quarter.
yeah.
Okay, so I would just, caution us to keep track of how much that's shifting, and there are some folks like this fellow to my right, who we're gonna meet with just about everybody, because he owns half the plant, so.
Right.
That may be unavoidable.
Well,
Sorry, Bob.
yeah, I think the other thing we talked about when Jackie was at the meeting with us was we also want to be clear in terms of roles, that we're not trying to supplant anything between the role of one of the staff people and the person they report to.
Sure.
So that if something comes up that, like if I were talking, this isn't happening, but if I were talking to Rachel and she said, well, I really want to change this and I think it should become a low priority and I'm not going to work on it and whatever that might be. And she hasn't communicated that to Paul. I can't put that forward because I'm getting in the way between their reporting relationship. So we just need to be sensitive to that too. That we're not making decisions as a manager, we're making recommendation as a committee, and they're two different things.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is strategic plan dashboard review, and we heard the dashboard is awesome. And we have one change that was recommended, so that's great. So.
One thing,
Yeah.
just thinking, we're gonna have a new town manager in the near future, so it'll be important, I think, to make sure that this group meets with that new person and make sure that they're comfortable with processes and if they have other ideas or whatever, so this we should probably put
So whenever that happens,
that on, yeah.
And I do think we should schedule our next select board. I don't know how,
Before we should look at the
We're-
select board, but we should
we
also
went in
schedule
October.
our next.
and our next one.
well,
Yeah,
we
before we
talked
leave.
about at our, I didn't bring my notes because I'm sorry, I'm still in brain fog here. But we talked about specific quarterly meetings for us that were important because of the cycle of budgeting and planning and the town meeting.
Yep.
So I don't know if you have that,
Yes,
so we
can set our next.
so we can set our next meeting.
All right, so let's move on. If we're good with the strategic plan dashboard review.
Well, can I just ask one quick question? One of the things you had me add, as we were building this, was this implementation tracker.
Yes.
Just to help you all in your overall process.
Yep.
And so we didn't have to do this, but just to call attention if there is anything that you wanted to update.
Completely agreed. This was.
So
And I don't know if everyone has clicked over to
I
this.
don't know. Show-
haven't.
So, hope,
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing
It's-
the best.
it's all good. Hope, sort of designed this list and we worked on it together to get it in here. Really, so this is your own guiding, where are you in your 5-year cycle of work? And, I wanted to check in with you here. I assume that this is complete. But you and I can always look at that. So good to know, and you all have access to this and should be able to click into it.
You lost me. Can you start over from
Sure.
before you're there? Where were you before we got here?
Oh, how
Over here,
It's our question. Yeah.
but then are we supposed to edit it?
Not we
necessarily.
can review it together. I think it's more so that we can keep ourselves honest and on track.
So from here, you'll either see it on the left when you're on the homepage,
Okay.
or down there on the lovely view of Fort Hill. This is not something that's been shared out, with staff or anything. This is really just your
So,
internal,
stuff.
where are we in the process? So just so you know
I
that
see
it's
it.
So how
there.
does something get on here?
Oh, we made it up. So,
Okay.
created
like-
internally. Sorry, Jackie and I did
In
this.
implementation.
We can certainly, I don't know if we have time today, because we want to end in 12 minutes, but, once everybody has a chance to look at it, maybe at our next meeting, we will definitely put this on the agenda. It's really, the intention is to keep ourselves on track.
Got it.
I think what's great about this too is over a 5-year span, if you do have committee turnover, there's a space to kind of go back to and says, what was the map for your 5 years as a committee and where are we? So good, just to make sure you can check that out. Yeah.
So it's basically in date order? I mean,
You can
it's-
change how it's sorted, but yes.
So this is, and then you can see if it was due in the summer of 2025, it's not complete, it's in progress.
Don't
Yeah,
have to
I
look
mean,
at it,
Yeah,
in
it's
detail.
just kind of like create the plan, implement the plan, and then update the plan. Those are
Got
like the three big
Oh.
buckets.
Yep.
Okay. So, so take some time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, it truly was just an effort to organize ourselves. And to Jackie's point, it's a really good thing just to have is there's turnover in the people. But it too is a work in progress.
Because I wondered if on that date sort that we were doing on the other side, you could pull that through to here and just look at for 2025 or 2026, which ones are not even started and we're in November.
Yeah, and some things will never be because they're update planned, right?
From the start.
Yeah.
From the new start date, yeah. But, all right, so let us maybe attempt to find our next meeting date as
Yep.
part of our next steps and action items, if that's okay with everybody. I don't need to rush people, but I want to be respectful. Thank you. You are most welcome. So, March. March is where we want to be.
So
Yes,
March is critical because March is when the town warrant is finalized, right?
Close to April.
So we would want to have I would think maybe a select board update in March, right? So should we meet before or after? In other words, we meet to prepare the select board update, or do we meet and respond to this, what happened at the discussion? Which way do we think is gonna be most valuable for us and for the select board?
Let's see. So,
Is March the select board meeting we plan to provide the update in?
The
I
first
would.
quarterly?
Yeah.
I think this is just off the top of my head, it would be good for us to meet ahead of time. And then if there are issues, report those to the select board at their March meeting. Just in case there's issues that they should be aware of that we've covered, that they should be thinking of when they're putting together the warrant. Is that, I mean, the board and the budget process is important too in this whole time frame.
Guess I'm wondering, so from this quarterly meeting, you've done your updates, you've met with staff, you've now met with each other. Is your plan next to
Report to the
select board, here's where we are after the first quarter?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we should meet with them soon when we can get on their agenda, but meet with them again in March. So we can get on their
That same
agenda.
cadence of.
Yes, we should get on their agenda whenever we can. So they're probably meeting in 2 weeks. Oh, I don't know what their calendar.
Is it on the town website?
December 15th.
Select board.
Have a meeting December 15th?
Select board.
I would just contact Jackie. Just ask her to add on next available agenda. It may not be till January, but
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But then once we get a rhythm going, so then we would be saying March.
You wanted to meet for your second update. For
Our second
March,
quarterly update, March 9th.
Monday, March 2nd, if that is.
For us,
For
Yes.
you all, would then give you. a
Time to
chance
meet with them, meet internally before they meet again.
So March.
Okay, Monday, March 2nd. What does that look like for everybody?
Once.
And now you kind of have that sense of that cadence, you could, I would think, contact.
Get on the agenda of the,
front.
yes, exactly, yep.
I would prefer not noon to 2. So
Okay,
in the morning or in the afternoon, if that's possible, I can do it. I
it's
just,
fine with me. I mean, I just realized after I sent the agenda, I was like, well, the room's booked. I was like, okay.
Pretty far out, should be able to get.
So March
Okay.
2nd, what, 2
What
to
time?
4?
2 to 4? Or 2 to 3:30?
That work, 2 to 3:30? Perfect.
That, yes?
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah, that's good for me. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Two to 3:30. Nice.
and then when we're talking to Jackie about the select board update in December, January, to give her an idea of the cycle we're trying is maybe the next one then would be in March. Right?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So she knows we're doing one now and then one in about 3 months.
Job. All right. So I'll reach out to Jack. To reach out to Jack.
When is her term up, right after town meeting?
End of,
I believe, end of fiscal year, isn't it, right? Yes.
Okay. Meeting minutes, I don't think we have any. Did you have ones
We
from the
do.
last meeting?
We had about 1,000.
We have to.
We got thousands. We have to approve all those old ones.
We have to take them one at a time.
I can make a motion to approve them all in bulk. I can give you the dates.
Okay,
Can I ask an operational question? I've been taking diligent notes today.
thank you.
Do I need to? When I submit these after the fact, do I need to say that you voted on all these old minutes? Was that included
Yes.
also? Okay.
Today's minutes will reflect.
With the dates.
Today's minutes, we voted on all these ones.
okay, so what are the dates?
9/11/24, 8/16/24, 6/12/24, 5/8/24, 4/24/24, 3/13/24.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's in an email he sent to all of us with all the attachments
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Hold on, let me, these are out of order anyways. I wrote them down.
I'll send it to you.
No, it's right. I'll be fine.
It's
One,
on
let
Wednesday,
me start over.
26th November.
He can get it off.
He'll find them on.
Yeah.
Let me just say it for the motion.
For the motion.
record.
Yeah,
We're
for the
making
record. Okay.
a motion to approve the
The following
following
minutes.
meeting.
I
minutes.
so move.
Second.
Wait.
I didn't finish them.
He has to read 9/11/24, 8/16. You reading them?
9/11/24, 8/16/24, 6/12/24, 5/8/24, 4/24/24, 3/13/24, 8/15/22, 7/19/22, 7/18/22, 6/6/22, and 1/5/21.
Wow.
Okay, so we have a motion to
Second,
approve of those. I seconded it. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. All right. And then Ryan, for the last meeting and then for this meeting, you'll send those on, and I took some minute notes too, which I'm happy to send to you or not. as-
Yeah, I'm a little late on the last meeting,
Okay.
but we didn't vote on anything, so I don't know.
I'll make sure, so we don't have this backlog
Are
again.
we rotating Hope on minutes?
Brian's been doing them,
Oh, that, thanks. Brian.
but if you have an issue or you're traveling and you need someone to cover, just let us know.
I will, certainly.
Yeah, that's much appreciated.
All right, is there any other business for anybody before we close?
None here. Good meeting.
Anybody else?
And again, thanks for the tool, really.
Yeah, we'd be nowhere. Well, I don't know,
Right.
about nowhere, but we wouldn't be this far advanced. How about that?
Yes, excellent.
All right, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting of the strategic planning committee is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.